everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Dr. Carmen Bryant, and this is Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. Thank you guys so much to all the new subscribers that have decided to join us in this beautiful tribe on this channel, and thank you for all your support. Today I want to talk about narcissist abuse versus spatial disorientation. I know that was a long word, and some of you are like, what? Okay, so let's talk about this confusion, this disorientation, this brain fog that has been caused by the narcissist and being in a relationship with a narcissist. And so last night I was watching this, I like watching science, the science network, where they have different things like, neuroscience. They have, histories of I don't know, lost artifacts, just a lot of different things. Some of you guys watch it, and so they were talking about aircraft. They were talking about the aircraft and how the crashing of aircraft and the secrets of the red box, the black box, which is actually a red box. And so it dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute. They were talking about spatial disorientation. You guys know my mind is always thinking the next thing to talk about with you guys. And so I want to read this definition to you guys, okay? Spatial disorientation. For those of you that are in the aerodynamics, aviation, those of you that fly aircraft or divers, you may have heard of this term, spatial disorientation, and what the term is. And I found this on spatial disorientation physiology on Britannia. It's on Britannia.com, and this is the editors of Encyclopedia Britannica, and this is an article, and it says, spatial disorientation is the inability of a person to determine his or her true body position, motion, and altitude relative to the earth or his or her surroundings. Both airplane pilots and underwater divers encounter this phenomenon. Most clues with respect to orientation are derived from sensations received from the eyes, the ears, the muscles, and the skin. The human sensory apparatus, however, is often not delicate enough to perceive slow and gradual changes in motion. Also, when motion changes are abrupt, the sense organs tend to overestimate the degree of change. Let me add this before I go to the next definition. Remember the story about the frog in the pot, where you turn up the heat on the stove, and the frog keeps adjusting its body and adjusting its body temperature to adjust to the changing water until a point where it realizes that it's about to boil to death and is actually boiling to death, so it doesn't have enough energy to jump out the pot. Well, that frog in the pot theory is almost similar to what happens to you when you are in a relationship with a narcissist, because you're disoriented. They've already manipulated you. They've already love bombed you. Then they begin trauma bonding you, where by the time you realize what has happened to you, you are already at a point where you're slowly being destroyed from the inside out. Your thoughts, the brain fog, the immune system problems, the health issues. But a human being was not created to be in the air or underwater. We were created to be on the earth, grounded. Check out the words, grounded. So by being grounded on the earth, and that's not to say those people that have like vertigo or have like inner ear issues or like brain trauma or are recovering from a traumatic accident where they're having to relearn these skills. But the average person, when you're standing on the ground, you're grounded on the ground, you have a sense of up and down, left and right, you have an awareness, you're oriented to your environment and your space. Well, with underwater and in the air, you become disoriented. And so when pilots go to, and I speak of the pilots, and I was listening to this on the documentary, but when pilots go to school, they're taught to rely on their instruments. You can't trust the body and the sensations of the body, because when you get into the air, the body can become disoriented. A lot of times planes crashing because the phenomena of spatial disorientation happens when there's a shift and abrupt change. And what I found was the wings of the airplane has to be in perfect alignment with the airflow so that the air is flowing over the wings to provide that aircraft with lift. The airplane, and I'm getting somewhere with this, the airplane has been created with an internal alarm system that if the plane's nose is up too high, where the wings are not getting the proper lift, an alarm comes on to tell the pilot to bring the nose of the plane down. And if the plane's nose is too far down, that it tells the pilot to bring the plane up to give it a perfect alignment in the air to provide it with lift. Well, human beings, we have an internal alarm system that oftentimes, which is called our gut instinct. Now, I'm going to go through all the belief system. Well, not all of them, but, some of us, are Christians in belief system. Some of you guys are not Christian in belief system, so I'm going to just name it as I go, okay? But you're created with an internal alarm system. So some of you say gut instinct. Some of you said led by the Holy Spirit. Some of you say led by your spirit guide. Some of you say just that internal, I don't know, whatever you guys, whatever terminology that you use, there is an alarm system inside of you when something is not right. It's up to you not to hit the snooze button. It's up to you not to ignore those red flags, those warning signs. Many of you who have been in that relationship with the narcissist, hindsight is 20/20. And so now you're looking back like the red flags were always there. You can pick them out now. All the red flags were there, and a lot of you are even commenting, he did this, she did this is what was said, this is, now 2 and 2 goes together. One and one makes 2, so 2 and 2 goes together. Now it makes sense to you, but a lot of those red flags and warning system, when that alarm system and internal clock went off in you, that alarm went off in you, you kind of ignored it. Well, the aircraft is built with an internal alarm system that it basically, how did they say it? It is a alarm system to keep from human error. The alarm system come on to protect the plane from human error, and they're taught to rely on the equipment and not their feelings. Many of you have been caught up in these relationships because you were taught and groomed by the narcissist through trauma bonding. Number one, you're trauma bonded, and you were love bombed, and so that's why I tell you guys, you can't rely on your emotions and feelings dealing with the narcissist or with people in general. And so most of you see, and that's just like the pilots. The pilots see the instruments, they see what the instruments on the aircraft says, but they ignore it because that's not what they're feeling. Well, it doesn't feel like we're descending, or it doesn't feel like we're nose diving straight down. It doesn't feel that way, and they're taught to rely on that equipment. And also, when it goes out of autopilot, if it jams out of autopilot, a pilot is taught to fly the plane and depend on the instruments on the panel in order to keep the plane safe if the internal alarm system fails to go off or something happens or is defected. And so with many people, you go beyond your internal alarm system, and you see what the narcissist is doing. You hear all the beautiful words and how it makes you feel. And remember, I did a video on thoughts. The thoughts, those are imagery in your head that become thoughts that require the brain assign emotions to it, and then the emotions end up having actions to it to complete this thought process. Well, a lot of you are, instead of you going by your gut instinct, your red flag, the Holy Spirit, your spiritual guide, whatever it is that you use, you decide to lean on your feelings. Well, it feels this way. Well, I see him or her doing this, where this is what they're saying to me. And so you are becoming spatially disoriented. And so let me go to this next definition. So the Free Dictionary says spatial disorientation in aerospace or aeromedicine is a term used to describe a variety of incidents occurring in flight. When the pilot fails to sense correctly the position, the motion, or the altitude of the aircraft or him or herself within the coordinate system provided by the surface of the earth and gravitation. And so you're getting the information, but you're ignoring the information to go by your sensories, your feeling. And when they love bomb, your whole body responds to it. Your skin, your emotions, your feeling, your heart, the dopamine, the adrenaline, the oxytocin, the serotonin, all that is working, and you are trusting this instead of your internal navigation system. Your thoughts are being affected, but your thoughts, your what's the word? Your logic, you have dismissed logic. You have shut off autopilot. Well, we don't want to use autopilot because autopilot means you're going by your feelings, but you've shut off your internal protective system, and you stop listening to your own warning system, and you went straight in. And so now, as a result of doing that, a lot of you are now dealing with the brain fog, the ailment, the sicknesses, the pain, the hurt, the withdrawal symptoms. And let's look at the next definition. And so disorientation, the word disorientation is this is free dictionary, the loss of one's sense of direction. Many of you, because they've isolated you, they've trauma bonded you, they have caused, their whole thing was to get you to believe them and them only. So now you are totally have lost your sense of direction in life because you have been so dependent on someone else to tell you what is good, what is bad, when you're happy, when you're sad. I'm the only one that can make you laugh. I'm the only one. If you're smiling at someone else, I'm going to beat you. You have been programmed and trained by a narcissist. So your whole sense of direction is off. That's why a lot of you have a hard time in making decisions for yourself. Every time you try to make a decision, you're waiting to be told whether it's a dumb decision or a good decision. And so you go off of someone else's thought, the narcissist thoughts, the position. So you've lost your sense of position. You have no idea how powerful you really are and what position you really hold and what they went after when they sought you. You're powerful and they sought your strength. There's something about you that they wanted. So you've lost the position that you hold, because you don't know who you are or how powerful you really are. Lost one's sense of direction, position, or relationship with one's surrounding. So you've been isolated. So you don't even know how to interact with people anymore because a lot of you now have narcissistic fleas or narcissistic traits. And some of the things that you're doing are a reflection of what the narcissist did to you. That's the only way that you knew how to respond back in order to get back. So now you handle people like this. Another thing, disorientation, is mental confusion, that brain fog, or impaired awareness, especially regarding place, time, or personal identity. You have lost who you are. You don't know who you are. You have lost your place of regarding time, timing. You have a hard time relating to people. You have a hard time having a relationship with people because you don't trust anybody, because they have disrupted and they really have, what's the word I'm looking for? They have really, I was going to say putrefied. That doesn't sound right. But they have really caused you a lot of emotional and mental harm that has caused you a lot of disorientation or spatial disorientation, a lot of disorientation dealing with people, places, your own personal identity, life in general. And so these are some of the things, some of the characteristics or side effects or situations that occur after being involved with a narcissist. And so hopefully this has taught you a little more. Is powerful to learn. It's powerful to learn where you are, and everybody learns differently. Some people by hearing, some people by seeing, so a lot of you learn, you watch me as I bob my head around, but a lot of you are listening. But as you interject new information, and new information is interjected into your thought process, your thoughts begin to change. You begin to heal. You begin to have understanding, and it's powerful to have knowledge, and it's even more powerful to have understanding. Now for those of you that are not believers in the Bible does say, "And all thy getting, get understanding." But I think that's very relevant because you can get a whole bunch of knowledge in college. You got a whole bunch of book knowledge, but you don't know how to apply it. So you don't have any understanding and you have no wisdom behind it. So you can be the smartest, dumbest person that anyone can ever meet. You are so educated, but yet you have no idea how to convey this information to other people. So you're smart all by yourself. No one is smart around you because they have no clue what you're talking about. So knowledge is important, but the wisdom behind it, the understanding behind the knowledge that you're getting also helps you transform the way that you're thinking. You have to transform after you get out of these relationships. You have to change the way that you're thinking by getting understanding. And so hopefully these videos are bringing you some understandings about yourself and providing you with the assistance that you need through your recovery, to get your recovery or to plan your escape. And as I reiterate in every video, or most videos, Make sure you start a plan. You start planning. Make sure you make an informed decision. You can't just jump up and run with your kids, because in certain states they can get you for kidnapping. There is the common what is it, the common law, is it community property laws. You also have the rights of parents. So even though you may not be married, or you could be married, the parent still has rights, and you don't want to jeopardize your escape. Go and speak to a legal advocate, talk to a domestic violence advocate, talk to legal personnel, someone within the legal system, to get your rights. And then, with the domestic violence program, such as the YWCA or other programs that or I think someone also provided Department of Social Work Services, Social Health Services, that will also help you with your escape plan to get you somewhere safe, to help you escape from your abuser. But be wise. Come up with a plan, put a plan together, and make sure you make informed decisions so you don't make a mistake. And so those of you that are not able to comment on the videos because you're in the situation, that you're probably being monitored, someone is probably watching everything that and watching everything that you say, and it can be held against you. I'm encouraging you, it's possible. Continue to watch, continue to build your strength. Don't say anything on the videos. For those of you that are watching that are unable to say, those of you that are connected with people that are in powerful positions and have money that you don't have, continue to watch these videos, continue to build your strength, and continue to make a plan of escape whatever way that you possibly can. Money comes and goes, and I understand that some people have been exposed to lifestyles that they'll probably never be able to replicate what was introduced to you. But trust you me, you can come up and you can start all over again. Some don't want to start all over again, but you have to make a decision. If you don't want to start all over again, what's the point of complaining? Some of you are heartbroken and hurt, and some of you just have to get good and tired to finally get up and go. So hopefully this has helped you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is Dr. Carmen Bryant, Overcoming Narcissist Abuse, and hit the bell so subscribe and hit the bell so whenever I upload new videos. Also, I come on live on Sundays between 8 and 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, unless I get to the camera earlier. Some of you got to join me earlier, and that's on Sundays. That is Pacific Standard Time, which is West Coast and the U.S. Those of you that are overseas, some have told me that in Europe and some portions of Europe is 6 to 9 hours ahead, so you're already in your next day. And I also have a Facebook page, 2 of them, which is my professional Facebook page, which is Psychological Health Consultants and Services, and then my book Facebook page, which is Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. You'll see my book at the top. Those videos, I share a little more videos on those. When I do have other speaking engagements, I do try to share it on that one. Also, you guys join me. Go to Podbean, subscribe to Podbean, and you will find Overcoming Narcissist Abuse. My very first podcast is on there, but what I did was I just put, because I was creating it, so I put the radio interview that I did with Mr. Brian Corbett from 104.7 KISS FM, and the radio interviews on there as my introductory podcast to let you guys know that I'm going to be uploading. I got my equipment. Thank you to my little angel in Canada. I do have my computer, and so I just got my equipment, the microphone, my earphones, so I can start recording. I have my equipment downloaded onto the computer so I can start creating podcasts. So go subscribe to it, and then I'm also going to practice doing my Audible book so that you guys can purchase the Audible book on podcast. Also, iTunes has because you have to request what is it called? You have to request approval to be uploaded to these particular podcast broadcasting, like Spotify, Pandora, and all those. And so I've been approved with Spotify, iTunes, Google Music Play. I'm waiting on Pandora and iHeartRadio. So you guys will be able to find me there. I just have to go check because I don't know how to find the podcast yet on all the other stations. But you can go to Podbean, subscribe to Podbean, and then subscribe to my podcast, and you can download the podcast onto your phone, your computer, wherever you want to listen to. There won't be any videos, and then of course the podcast will not be the same as the YouTube, and there I'm going to start afresh for those that are new listeners to educate them about narcissist abuse. So it won't be the same ones that are on. It might be some of the same titles, maybe, perhaps, I don't know yet. But I will be doing the podcast on podcast, but they will be different than YouTube. I'm going to have one where I have Patreons where you can get, I'm going to have some that are for paid listeners only. Then there's going to be those that are for those that is free. And then the book, of course, the Audible book will be for paid. That will be a paid purchase as well. And so thank you guys so much for supporting me. Make sure you go to my mentor's page, my mentor's YouTube channel, and subscribe to her channel and share her videos. She's the presiding prelate of Into His Chambers Global Ministries. Her name is Helen Sadler. Is Destiny Helper, Helen Sadler, Destiny Helper, and subscribe to her channel and make sure you share. Now, she is the senior pastor, and she's also my mentor who provides you with narcissist abuse recovery and information from a spiritual perspective and a biblical perspective. And she comes to you as a pastor, a presiding prelate pastor, but she talks to everyone. Doesn't matter what your religious belief system is or not, and you can ask her whatever question you want to, and she will. A lot of you had questions in reference to Christian marriages. What does the Bible say when you're in a relationship with a narcissist or trying to escape? She will answer those questions for you. And I usually stay to the clinical side of the house and provide you. I am a believer. However, I do try to stick to the clinical side of the house. And then as I address those of you with the different various belief systems, I just tell you where I stand. You know, I just usually tell you where I believe, and then you have to believe and apply it to what your belief system is. And I thank you guys so much for your support. You guys are an awesome tribe. I love you guys so much, and thank you for your support and making this happen for me. Now you guys go and be great.